Spirit Halloween has just revealed all of the animatronic names for 2025, so let's talk about that. What's up, Hauners? I hope you're all having an awesome day. As you can see, I'm pretty much in summer mode right now. Of course, I had my last day of school this week, so it's been pretty nice just enjoying summer vacation. But anyways, today's an amazing day because today, of course, we were able to get the names for lots of these Spirit Halloween animatronics for 2025, which is really awesome. Even though we don't really get to see any of these animatronics, I think it's still really fun to sort of speculate about what we're going to begin releasing in a few weeks here. So yeah, anyways, there's a ton of names right here. I didn't really count how many exactly, but I believe there's 15 different ones in here, so there's a lot of stuff to speculate about, so should be a fun video. Anyways, with that said, I think that's enough talk for the intro. Let's, of course, get into these photos I have right here that were in the teaser video, which reveal the names, and, of course, talk about what each one shows. So to start off, let's just quickly talk about this one photo, which this is, of course, an animatronic we already knew about, but of course, we can see Mutant Sewer Rat's name right here on screen, which, of course, this is really also the only animatronic which we currently know what exactly it's going to be looking like. Of course, if you don't remember, there was this leak from Flagship where, of course, the front of the box was, of course, facing towards a window, so we pretty much got a full body of this animatronic. So overall, nothing really to speculate for this. We pretty much already know what this guy's gonna look like, but of course, we can see his name right here in the teaser. Anyways, carrying on the next clip right here I have for you, we can actually see 3 different names in it. This is probably one of the biggest clips I was able to get for names. Of course, in this, we can see Bullseye on the one side, the other side we can see Fire Demon, and then to the very side right here, we can see Trixis, or Trix. I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to say this name. But anyways, let's go from left to right, starting of course with this Bullseye name right here, which this one, it's kind of known a little bit what this could look like. Of course, we know like Bullseye is gonna have something with like archery or target related. Personally, what I think this could mean is it's probably a prop that in some way uses a bow and arrow, like maybe he's about to shoot it or something. It could be something like that. I don't really know how they'd make that more Halloween-y. Maybe it's a zombie type of character, or honestly, this could be a clown type of character we're going to be seeing. Honestly, I think that could make sense. A clown sort of thing with a bow and arrow, you know, that could make perfect sense. So overall, this one, I'm very curious what exactly it's going to be. I assume some sort of archery related one, but overall, I'm excited to see this one. Anyways, the other name we have on the side right here is Fire Demon, another devilish prop again, which is cool. Of course, the last one we got, I believe, was Hellspawn. So it's going to be cool to see exactly what we get next for a devil type prop. This one, I don't know, it's hard to say exactly what we're going to begin because they could really do anything with this. I assume it's just going to be a simple, like, devil prop. You know, it's just going to be all red. It's going to have that sort of demon face and everything. Now, this one, I feel it's going to be some sort of jump scare type one. I feel like demons, usually when they make them, they are sort of jump scares. So I think that's kind of what they're going to be doing. Then, of course, with that fire detail on there, I think maybe we could even see a cool fire detail. And anyways, just as I'm filming this, I'm also thinking that for some reason there was already some sort of Fire Demon prop. Actually searching this up, we do actually have an unreleased animatronic called the Fire Demon. Now, I'm not sure if this is what we are going to be getting. This guy's a pretty old prototype. I think it's from 2018 that we never saw released, or maybe a bit later. Anyways, this guy, I remember him because he was, of course, one that someone sent to me that for some reason his page was still up on the website. So maybe Fire Demon, this guy that we're hearing about, maybe it's this unreleased guy right here on the website that's finally going to be getting released. If this is what it is, this guy looks like a solid one. Of course, he's going to be $80 if this is the one we get released, and pretty much, I don't think he's an animatronic. I think he's just a big stand prop, but overall, Fire Demon, I just thought of this name we've already seen before. It could be for a new animatronic, or maybe it's this unreleased prop, but, well, that's interesting. Anyways, getting to the last name on the side right here, we have Trixis, maybe it's even backwards, like 6 ears, or that doesn't really sound right, but this one right here, Trix, I feel like that's a clown name. It just makes sense. So overall, not sure exactly what this one will look like. I assume we'll have like some sort of trick or something it's supposed to be doing, but overall, this one, I'm sure it's gonna be a clown, and I always love a good clown animatronic, so hopefully this one is a good one too. And moving on, next up here, it's pretty much confirmed now that we are gonna begin the Nun animatronic. Of course, right here, you can see the name Valak there on screen, which this one, I'm really curious to see what exactly this animatronic's gonna be looking like, because of course, if you remember my video from a couple weeks ago, we of course got some photos of the prototype, and it looks really sick what they're gonna be trying to do. Of course, they have this really cool mech where it's supposed to be a jump scare that jumps out at you, so overall, I can't wait to see what they do. Of course, the Nun is not really a character I care too much about. I've never really seen the movie, and overall, it's an alright character, but yeah, overall, it is going to be interesting to see a non-animatronic this year at Spirit, and then all these other retailers that are selling one. And moving on, this next name right here, I'm really excited for. This one, of course, is Monkey Business, which I love a good monkey animatronic. Of course, we got Monty a few years ago, which he was awesome. And I'm curious what they're going to be doing next with a monkey prop, you know. It's an interesting idea. Of course, the last one, it kind of worked, you know, it's a carnival type theme. I'm pretty sure this one, it won't necessarily be a carnival-related one. I think it's going to be a monkey just in general. What I would love to see with this is if it's like a monkey, you know, that's sort of like a zombified version, which might be what they go for. Personally, what I'm thinking this one could be like is I think it maybe will be sort of like a killer monkey or something. Maybe he'll have a knife in his hand, of course, and he's just got like an evil monkey. I kind of feel like that's the vibe they're going to go for. But overall, this one, it could have the potential to be one of my favorites this year. I love when they do a good animal animatronic. So overall, we're going to have to wait and see what exactly they do with this, but I have really high hopes for this one. I think it's going to be really cool. Of course, if it's not even related to monkeys, I'm going to be so disappointed, but Spirit, I have confidence in you. Do something good with this name. And moving on, this next one right here, I'm really excited for. We got Two-Face Teddy, which this name right here, it could be either for a tabletop or a life-size animatronic. It's really hard to say right now. And why I say that is because we've gotten teddy bear tabletop animatronics in the past that sort of have this idea where, of course, he's got the one face, he rips it off, and then it's either this humanoid, zombie-ish looking face, he's got like the bones and everything, or something like that. This one, I think it'll probably be a similar thing to that. It's like gonna like rip open the normal bear face and you're gonna see this other creepy face. Now, I would like to see this in a life-size form, you know, like a little 3-foot bear type guy that does this. I think that'd be really cool. Not sure if they would go that route with this. I have a feeling it might just be a tabletop, but either way, I like some of the animatronics. I did like that in the past, so this one I definitely am pretty excited for. So overall, can't wait to see what they're going to do because, yeah, if this is a life size, that's going to be insane. And of course, in this photo, we also have a name here at the bottom, which we have pretty much known about this one already. This is, of course, Backbend Bonnie, which also goes by the name of Backbend Bernadette, which we, of course, saw on the shipping labels. I wonder why they changed the name from that shipping label. Maybe that shipping label was just the default name for it, but overall, this one I'm curious to see. I was a big fan of the Broken Spine Girl they had many years ago at Spirit, and I think this one is probably going to be a similar idea, where of course starts off like it's back face to you and then sort of bends its back over to look back at you. I think it's going to be sort of that similar idea. Now, not sure how they'd change it up because I don't think they do exactly what they did with the Broken Girl one, but overall, I'm excited for this one too. It's probably going to be a possessed girl type animatronic, which those are usually cool, so overall, this one, another one that I'm excited to see about. And carrying on, next up here on the doors, we got two ones right here. Of course, the first one, Electrified Corpse. This guy we already knew about from the teaser. He, of course, is a returning animatronic from 2016. He's a really great one. I'm really hopeful that he'll be in stores. He's, of course, one that I would like to get. You know, he's a really cool one. He's like all these wires in him. He's a zombie. He's electrified. It's an awesome one. He's got some really violent motion. So this guy, really hope he's in stores because he'd be one that I would consider getting. And, of course, we got the Crypt Countess up here, which this is an interesting name. This one, I'm not really sure what exactly I could be doing with it. Definitely seems like it's going to be a girl type prop, of course, from that Countess name, I think. Yeah, Crypt, it's going to be some sort of graveyard one. Yeah, Countess. That makes me think like vampire kind of. I don't know, is that a vampire term? Yeah, honestly, not sure what they could be doing with this. I definitely know it's going to be some sort of graveyard related one. I think it's like a morning type of prop. Or maybe it's some sort of like ghoul that's in the graveyard. I think maybe that's what it's going to be. Some sort of ghoul type thing. Overall, I feel that this might be just a more disappointing one. I don't know, the name just doesn't sound like a big name for them. Sounds like a more disappointing one, but either ways, I think this one could be interesting, and yeah, I'll be interested to see what exactly this is. Anyways, next up here, we've got the Lantern Keeper, which this name right here, I'm not sure what it could be, but it could be many things. Of course, Lantern Keeper, it's going to have something to do with a lantern. Like, why wouldn't it with that name? One thing that would be cool is if the lantern had some sort of feature where maybe it opened up, something like jumped out of it, that could be cool. Or maybe it's going to be something that they use again with that sort of like animation technology they used with the Remaster guy last year. Maybe it could have something like that on the lantern. And overall, prop for this guy, no, it could be just some sort of like ghostly figurine type guy that has a lantern. That's kind of the vibe this name's giving off to me. It could also be like a grave digger, grave watcher type of guy. That could be possible. So overall, Lantern Keeper, I'm interested to see what this is. I do think it's going to be some sort of graveyardish prop, but I'm curious to see what they're going to do with the lantern because I feel like if it's in the name right there, lantern's going to be a pretty significant thing of this, and they're probably going to do something cool with it, I assume. And carrying on, next up here, we've got Headcase Harry, which this one I'm really curious about. I definitely know it's going to be something to do with the head, you know, maybe the head sort of like popped off or something. It could be something where it has a jump scare animation where the head sort of like pops up. I think that could work. And overall, for this guy, I don't know. I feel that's going to be sort of like a zombie prop. I don't know what about the name Harry makes me think that, but Harry just makes me think zombie for some reason. That's just like typical zombie name. But either way, it's Headcase Harry right here. Yeah, definitely gonna be something with the head right there. I assume it's gonna be a jump scare, like either the head pops out at you, it pops up. It definitely is gonna have some sort of jump scare with the head is what I'm gonna predict for this. But overall, I hope it's a zombie. I'd like to see a ton of awesome zombie animatronics from this year. I doubt they'd make more than one, but either way, it's Headcase Harry right here, a really cool sounding one. And carrying on, the next name right here is an interesting one because, of course, it says Trick or Treat Sam, which this is interesting because we did already get a Sam Trick or Treat animatronic a couple of years ago. Of course, that one was really awesome. It's either 2019 or 2020 it came out. I forget the exact year, but of course, he was an awesome one. He had the side-to-side animation. He had the lollipop in the one hand. He sort of moved that arm up and down, kind of like he was using it as a knife. Overall, Trick or Treat, probably one of my favorite Halloween movies of all time, so I don't hate that they're making a new Sam prop. Hope this time they do it even better, and maybe it'll be a licensed animatronic that I consider buying. I don't usually buy the licensed stuff, but how much I love Trick or Treat, maybe it'll be one I consider again if it is in stores. Yeah, for this, I'm not really sure what they could do with the character. We've already seen him basically with the two different forms, because of course the original version came with the two different heads. Yeah, I don't know what else they could do with the Sam character, unless they're just bringing him back. That could, of course, be possible. They're just returning this guy, but either way, I'm a big fan of Trick or Treat, so always love to see a good Trick or Treat animatronic. And moving on right here, we've got Twisted Grandma, which I believe is the one we already heard about, where there's some sort of like twisted animatronic we got from the shipping labels before from Spirit, but this one's going to be an interesting one. I assume it's going to have some sort of like animation with its like upper torso or its head or something, where of course it's sort of going to like twist around to look at you. I think it's going to be something really creepy. Then it's probably going to be either a possessed or zombified grandma character, something like that, I think is what we're going to be getting. But overall, this one I'm curious about. It could also be that techie concept art we got. I'll put that on screen if I can find a photo of it, but we did, of course, get that techie concept art a while ago, and it could look something like that too, potentially. But overall, the Twisted Grandma right here is one I'm really curious to see more about. I think it's definitely going to be a cool one. It might even be a jump scare one, you know, like really turns around fast. It could be some sort of jump scare like that. I think that is what we're going to begin with this, but either ways, I'm excited for this, and yeah, it's going to be awesome. And carrying on, we've got one more photo to check out here, of course, with 3 different names in it. Of course, the big one is Terrifier Santa Claus, which is on the wall right there, which this is an interesting one, of course, because last year we got the Terrifier animatronic, and this year I guess we're going to be getting a Santa Claus version, which I wonder if this will just be a costume change, like you can buy the Santa costume and put on your Art the Clown you already have. Or maybe it's going to be a whole new prop that maybe it's going to be part of their Christmas store if they bring it back this year. It could be something like that. I honestly don't know what we could get from this. I do have a feeling it's just going to be a costume change that you can buy for your Art the Clown. It'd be weird if they make a whole new animatronic of essentially the same characters in a Santa form. But honestly, that is what they could do. You know, never underestimate Spirit, but that's really interesting that they're going to be releasing that. On the bottom, we can also see Grave Danger carved into the seat right there, which this one, I think it's going to be a graveyard one, you know, Grave. Their names sometimes are obvious, sometimes are not, but I think this does mean that it is going to be a graveyard type of character. So I'm curious what they're going to be doing with it. I think it'll be something with a tombstone maybe. Maybe they'll like hide behind it and like sort of like jump forward over it or something. It could be something like that, honestly. But overall, definitely some sort of graveyard prop, and with Danger, it makes me think it's going to be a jump scare, but overall, who knows? And anyways, the last name we got right here, which I kind of like how this one sounds. We, of course, have Trick or Treat Pete, which is one I wonder what's going to be. Trick or Treat, that makes me think that it could be a trick-or-treater animatronic, but really this could also just be some guy handing out candy or something, or even a clown guy that has candy in some form that he's holding. For my prediction, I'm going to say it's some sort of like trick-or-treater type one. You know, maybe it's a zombified trick-or-treater boy. That'd be pretty cool to see. But overall, whatever it is, this one is going to be an interesting one. I definitely love that name, so I feel like it's going to be a good animatronic if they came up with that good of a name for it. I feel like with Spirit, the better the name, the better the animatronic usually. I don't know if that's 100% true, but I have a feeling it is. But yeah, anyways, I'm excited to see this guy too. And with all said, everyone, that of course is it for today's video. Hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe, and tell me down below what you think of all these names and your predictions down below. If you want to list me off your predictions for each of these names I mentioned, definitely do that. I'd love to read your comment and then reply what I think about it. Anyways, I'll of course see you all next time. Goodbye.